Alright guys, what's up? Today we're going to talk about the Christ, right? And it gets some misconceptions, so I'm going to preface this now. I love all my Christian brothers, but I have no place for dogma. I know we may not agree on a lot of things, right? So if you're going to talk about why this is wrong, why this is demonic, why this is evil, and all this shit, do me a favor and just don't waste your time. Spend your time ministering to the people that want to hear it, right? Okay. Preface that, so I'm gonna delete comments. I've argued with enough people about that. I'm done doing that. I'm just living my truth, brother. So anyway, so the Christ, right? Let me explain what the Christ actually is. There's some like New Age talk about like, you know, the Christ consciousness and stuff, and I'm gonna get into all that, right? So I want you to understand this. God is infinity, right? God is so vast and infinite and omnipotently expansive, right? In reality, that is the core of all, right? Everything is a part of this infinite obscurity in a way. It's so expansive that it's hard to grasp, right? It's like infinite, right? So in Taoism, you know, they call God the Tao, right? And there's a saying that's like, the Tao that can be known is not the true Tao, right? Basically meaning that God is so expansive, you can't even perceive it, really. Imagine being a limited being and trying to picture infinity and fully grasp it. You can only take that so far, right? So the infinite can only be known in relation to what you are relating to it, right? So that's where I want to say, where like a lot of Hindus, Brahmin is what they call that same infinite reality. That's why they pray to the gods, because it's a reference point to relate to that infinity from a different perspective, right? So Taoism, Hinduism, so anyway, what I'm getting at here is, what is the Christ, right? In, you know, Christianity, they're associating it with Jesus or Yeshua, and we're going to get to that because it's that, but not completely. So the Christ is the perfect divine blueprint of the human consciousness, right? It is essentially the son of the infinite, right? It is a microcosm of the macrocosm, right? So what are you right now? You're a human, right? So in order to understand the human, in order to understand the divine from the reference point we were talking about, which is being human right now, you need the perfect divine blueprint of humanity, right? Which the Christ consciousness, the Christ energy, you want to call it, that is the perfect blueprint. That is the perfect ideal of divine humanity, right? It is completely embodying the infinite, but in a human lifetime, in a human form, right? So this is where Jesus comes in, Yeshua, right? Yeshua was 100% an incarnation of this Christ energy, right? Yeshua in his entirety was the ego, the person, which he himself was even saying, you know, I speak not on my own accord, and telling the disciples to die to themselves in a sense, right? Basically, the Christ within moving them. And once they do that, they're all one. I pray they all become one in us, right? He's speaking with the infinite, you know, within himself as himself, right? So Yeshua 100% is an incarnation of the Christ energy. And the Christ energy is an incarnation of the infinite through a human collective consciousness, right? So Yeshua was an avatar. We're going to use like Hindu terminology. Yeshua was an avatar incarnated from the Christ energy to make these points, right? Wasn't the only incarnation of this. Christ is the only way to the Father. That I'll say. Christ is the only way to the Father. But Yeshua himself was just an incarnation of Christ. But yes, you have to understand, Yeshua wasn't in his ego, the guy Yeshua. Yeshua was speaking as the Christ. So when he says, I am the way, the truth, the life, no one comes to the Father but through me, he's saying no one comes to the Father except through the Christ, right? Except through this divine gateway, right? It is basically perfect human consciousness, right? Divine human consciousness is what that is. A lot of New Age people will use terms like my higher self. It's the same thing. They just don't realize it. Your higher self is your perfect divine version of yourself, right? You can see it as the Christ energy is what encodes your higher self, and your higher self is that divine perfect expression of God, right? So Yeshua was a manifestation of that, and he came to show us that we are all that. We are all in a human body, right? So he's showing us all how to embody our higher selves, our Christed self, right? So I want to say that like Taoism describes the nature of reality to the best you can understand intellectually, but becoming one with Christ embodies that, right? And it's very easy to connect to. You can connect to it through Yeshua 100%. Like ascended masters, you know, the ones who have seen these truths and embody and you connect with their energy, and they're direct doorways to these truths. Like Yeshua 100% is my ascended master, right? But what I'm getting at here is that Christed self. In order to connect to your higher self, you have to do it through Christ, right? And to do that, all it is the frequency and the intention of connecting with that which is true, right? Because that which is true is what is, right? And when Yeshua speaking as the Christ says, I am the way, the truth, the life, you know, connect with the truth in all scenarios in your life. Be like, say an affirmation to the universe, right? And say like, I am one with the truth, right? I am the truth. You say these things, you connect onto the same wavelength, right? And then this spirit of truth starts to move you into all perfect actions. And it's a very balanced experience, right? Like on my spiritual path, I struggled with balance for a long time, you know, with, you know, Taoism and stuff. It's like the yin and the yang, and it's like intellectually it was hard for me. I'd either be all yang or all yin. I'd be too feminine, too masculine, too soft, too hard, you know, that all or nothing kind of pull me in one direction, pull me in this direction, you know, denying the human experience, being completely materialistic, you know, all these things. It's like two things pulling at each other. But the Christ energy is balance itself. It's a perfect balance of masculine energy and feminine energy, which like in Hinduism is like the Kundalini. It's like Shiva and Shakti meeting and awakening you, right? It's all talking about the same thing. And to connect with Christ is to connect with the truth. Just put out the affirmation that you want to know the truth. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door shall be opened. So hopefully that made sense.